and had forgotten nothing and regretted nothing. He saw no contradiction in the delight he'd taken in battle and adventure, and the keen pleasure he now found in quietude, spiced, to be truthful, with more than a little mischief when he could get it, as he liked his victuals well-flavoured, but quietude all the same, a ship becalmed and enjoying it. And probably the youngsters who eyed him with such curiosity also whispered that in a life such as he had led there must have been some encounters with women, and not all purely chivalrous. And what sort of grounding was that for the conventual life? They were right about the women. Quite apart from Rachildis, who had not unnaturally tired of waiting for his return after 10 years, then married a solid yeoman with good prospects in the Shire and no intention of flying off to the wars, he remembered other ladies, in more lands than one, with whom he had enjoyed encounters pleasurable to both parties and no harm to either. Bianca, drawing water at the stone wellhead in Venice, the Greek boat-girl Ariana, Mariam, the Saracen widow, who sold spices and fruit in Antioch, and who found him man enough to replace for a while the man she'd lost. The light encounters and the grave, not one of them had left any hard feelings behind. He counted that as achievement enough, and having known them was part of the harmonious balance that made him content now with this harboured, contemplative life, and gave him patience and insight to bear with these cloistered, simple souls who had put on the Benedictine habit as a life's profession, while for him it was a timely retirement. When you've done everything else, perfecting a conventual herb garden is a fine and satisfying thing to do. He couldn't conceive of coming to this stasis having done nothing else whatever. 5 minutes more, and he must go and wash his hands, and repair to the church for Mass. He used the respite to walk the length of his pale-flowered, fragrant inner kingdom, where brothers John and Columbanus, 2 youngsters barely a year tonsured, were busy weeding and edge-trimming. Glossy and dim, oiled and furry, the leaves tendered every possible variation on green. The flowers were mostly shy, small, almost furtive, in soft, sidelong colours, lilacs and shadowy blues and diminutive yellows, for they were the unimportant and unwanted part, but for ensuring seed to follow. Rue, sage, rosemary, gilvers, gromwell, ginger, mint, thyme, columbine, herb of grace, savoury, mustard. Every manner of herb grew here, fennel, tansy, basil and dill, parsley, chervil and marjoram. He had taught the uses even of the unfamiliar to all his assistants, and made plain their dangers too, for the benefit of herbs is in their right proportion, and overdosage can be worse than the disease. Small of habit, modest of tint, close-growing and shy, his herbs called attention to themselves only by their disseminated sweetness as the sun rose on them. But behind their shrinking ranks rose others, taller and more clamorous, banks of peonies grown for their spiced seeds, and lofty, pale-leaved budding poppies, as yet barely showing the white or purple-black petals through their close armour. They stood as tall as a short man, and their home was the eastern part of the Middle Sea, and from that far place Cadfael had brought their ancestors in the seed long ago, and raised and cross-bred them in his own garden, before ever he brought the perfected progeny here with him to make medicines against pain, the chief enemy of man. Pain and the absence of sleep, which is the most beneficent remedy for pain. The 2 young men, with habits kilted to the knee, were just straightening their backs.